You're listening to the Limitless Broadcasting Network.
Your whole life can change in an instant. About 50 million adults in the United States have chronic pain, and because of a car accident, Robby is one of them. In their marriage vows, Robby and Sammy promised to stand by one another and provide strength when needed. And lately, they've been facing some of their biggest challenges. Join them as they share the ups and downs of living with chronic pain.
Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of the Painful Truth of Living with Chronic Pain podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Robby.
And I'm Sammy.
And this episode is sponsored by You Can't Kill the Boogeyman podcast, produced by 1950 Studios and Limitless Broadcasting. So subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Yep, check it out if you love horror movies, scary movies. We have a lot of fun doing that one.
Absolutely. So today, for this podcast, we really don't have a structured episode plan. I just kind of wanted to talk about, I'm sure a lot of people can experience this, of being fatigued or tired of being in chronic pain. What do you do when you're absolutely exhausted because you know your body isn't the same? What are you supposed to do? And that's kind of where I've been feeling lately, is I'm exhausted of being in pain. I know that I can't do X, Y, and Z, and I just kind of get tired of it. So what are you supposed to do when you're in that circumstances or in that situation? How do you push yourself through? And that's something I'm trying to figure out now. I don't have 100% answer for you. There are sometimes I want to just come home and take a nap, which I constantly get tired of doing because when I was younger, I didn't have to do that. Or before my accident, I didn't have to do that. I could go all day without having to schedule a nap in my day. That gets frustrating. Or this is talking about me in particularly, like I have neck pain. I know I'll never be able to turn to the left ever again, or until technology really comes up and can actually fix what's the underlying problem with my neck is. And it's just kind of like that. You get tired of not being able to do certain things. So what are you supposed to do? What do other people do in this situation? And what do you think that answer is?
I mean, I don't think there is a good answer. I think it depends on your needs as an individual and what kind of pain day you're having and how you're feeling. If you have to take a nap, you have to take a nap, you know?
Yeah, no,
You shouldn't push through it. You should know your limits. If you know you're going to be out late doing something, then you should schedule downtime during the day because you know you need it. So making adjustments like that, even if it's annoying, is definitely something you should do. The acupuncture.
So I just started acupuncture.
Yeah.
And that we will actually have the doctor on to talk about it. I know we wanted to do this a long time ago, but all these interviews are finally just falling into place. And that has been an interesting experience on my body. Like it's an adjustment period because I want to, after every treatment, I want to come home and sleep. And I'm on different medications now because of acupuncture to help out with certain things. And I've noticed after taking that, it makes me want to sleep, or it's just an adjustment period on my body. It affects me in different ways. Sometimes it upsets my stomach. Sometimes it makes me sleepy. I know that we're dealing in a lot of Chinese remedies, and that goes against like Western medicine. So I'm giving it a shot The acupuncturist I'm going to says I need like 15 appointments to get back to level 1.
Right.
And I'm trying to give it the 15 appointments. I mean, it's not as expensive as I thought it was going to be. It's actually quite affordable. I don't know if he does that in particularly to keep his prices low.
Maybe.
I don't know, but he is actually at Dr. Thomas's practice. Dr. Thomas actually included him in his practice, and I trust Dr. Thomas completely, so I don't think he's going to let somebody join his practice without being vetted. I will tell you, I've had a couple acupuncture treatments, and I had a splitting headache. Like, it actually came on so hard that I haven't had one this strong in a long time. Well, I can't say that, but it came on very strong. But I guess that's just part of the adjustment period of my body,
Right.
because it's a new thing, a new procedure to help me get out of pain. So how do you think that's working out so far? I mean, you're kind of sitting back and watching this, and
Yeah, I mean, you're the one who'll know.
being the report card of things.
Now, there are some things he told us to do, and one thing you have not done.
Yes, I need to start doing foot bath.
Yes, I went and got you a foot bath and Epsom salts.
And I'm going to start doing that. I just haven't done that.
Used it. No.
But, it's kind of hard, when you're getting ready for bed, you're in your routine, but I will start doing that. So if anybody uses Epsom salt on their feet, let me know. Does it help your pain? Does it do its job? What is that supposed to do?
Yeah, it's supposed to help with pain and inflammation.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's some reason why he recommended for you, like, the feet thing. That probably is more of, like, a Chinese-based reasoning behind that. So that'd be a better question for him directly.
Yeah.
But, speaking of going to bed, like you're talking about feeling tired during the day, I mean, there are things you can do when you're going to bed to help with that. So technically you should be off your phone at least an hour before you go to bed. You shouldn't be watching TV. You shouldn't be on your phone.
Well,
you should be relaxing,
when
getting rid of the blue screens to help relax you and let you go to sleep.
When we start going to bed, we usually turn off the TV, and it takes us a while to fall asleep. And yeah, we'll turn over and play on our phones for a little bit, but we'll eventually turn that off. And there's solid like 20 minutes there. We're just laying in darkness.
Well, I go to sleep pretty much right after I turn off my phone.
It takes me a long time.
Yeah, I'm not really the same, but that's one thing. Not having caffeine after like 2 p.m. during the day.
So I really wanted to get in shape. This is the worst I've ever felt. Like, I'm usually much skinnier than this. So I've been trying to walk as much as possible, as long as my body can do it, as far as it can do it. And I've actually started to lose some weight. Like, I've asked Sammy, because she's all around me all the time, how has my body transitioned? And I'm starting to notice that I'm lighter. I don't look the same. I'm actually thinner.
And that should help boost your metabolism, maybe give you some more natural energy too, doing all that.
I know that's what kind of Dr. Thomas was saying, like, and not just Dr. Thomas, but a lot of doctors are like, oh, you need to lose weight. Well, how can you lose weight if you're always in pain? That's the $100 million question. And my only answer to you is, I just kind of said one day, even though I'm in pain, I'm going to do this. And I just started doing it. Yep.
You go on walks twice a day.
I feel like sometimes that's the $100 million thing, is you just kind of have to tell your brain to, it's going to suck starting out. But once we get in the habit of things, it's going to work.
Yeah. Once it becomes a habit, it's a little easier to maintain, number one. And I know, because we go on walks in the morning before I work.
Right.
And I know, like, the first morning, I was just like, I need something to do while we're on the walk, because we're not going to talk to each other because it was early
And even when we still go
And
out, we don't talk to each other because we're just waking up. It's
it's
not like we don't like each other. It's just like
it's too early
it's just
for
too
all that.
early to deal with her
And it's
stuff and my
hot
stuff.
and it's just yeah. So I was like, I can't do this. So then what we do is, I don't know what you listen to. I listen to podcasts while I'm walking, and that makes it so much easier for me to do it,
Yeah.
to get up, to do it, to go on the walk, to be not just thinking about how much I don't want to be out doing the walk because I'm listening to a podcast I enjoy. So that's what I do to kind of make it a little bit better when we go out in the mornings.
Right.
And I know you like to listen to stuff or talk on the phone to people.
When I'm
You know.
when I'm walking at night, I like to talk on the phone. Because sometimes it's late at night and it starts to get dark, and I'm just like, I'm much rather be talking to somebody. Not that I'm afraid something's gonna happen. It gets darker now, and but it's so hot in Florida that I can't go out any earlier.
Yeah,
So
it's hot.
it's just so hot. So I have to put up with the sun dropping or setting earlier now.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a conundrum right there, and that's what you kind of have to expect when you live in Florida.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, it'll, as we get later in the fall, it'll start to be better in the evenings and early mornings as far as the temperatures. It'll be a lot more comfortable.
I remember when we first started walking, and we tried to start walking in the morning. It was so cold. We gave it up because it was so cold outside.
Yep.
I don't want to run into those issues again.
Well,
But I feel like we might.
I mean, there may be some mornings where it's so cold, but it's like half an hour. That's what I tell myself. It's only
Yeah.
like half an hour. It's fine. Just go
Right.
out, just do it, and then you'll be back and you can get in the shower and have breakfast and
Right.
relax for a little bit. That's what I tell myself. It's only half an hour.
Right. Right. And another reason is I started doing this is I just wanted to feel better about myself. Because I used to look at myself and be like, I'm so fat. I'm so out of shape. I hurt all the time. I can't do this. I can't do that. But what is one thing that I can control and I can actually contribute to myself? And I was like, I'm going to commit to walking as far as I can, as long as I can, so I can start getting back into shape. Well, like, I want to get down to my college weight. And that was like 130, 160. I'm almost there. If I can get down to 165, 160, I'm doing really well. But it doesn't happen overnight. And I'm okay with that. I can't tell you if losing weight has contributed to my pain, like decreasing pain, because when you go to doctor's appointments and doctors are talking to you, they're like, "Oh, if you lose weight, you'll be pain-free." I don't necessarily believe that, because I'm in pain all the time. Even if I'm 100 pounds or 200 pounds, I still feel pain. So for those of you that deal with chronic pain, can you agree with that statement? How do you guys get motivated to do things? Like, if you're dealing with chronic pain, how do you have time to work? It takes a full-time job just to be in a good mood. I know a lot of people are on like disability
Yeah.
and whatnot, and we're still looking in that for me to be in disability, because it's not like I can actually work a full-time job as I did. And we'll do a show on like applying for disability, because that is a process all in itself. And we have other shows coming up, but this show, I just wanted to kind of banter with you, because we wanted to get a show out, but we had nothing really planned. And that sounds bad, but it's one of those things that I'm just kind of reaching out to our community and saying, these are the struggles I'm struggling with right now. Like, I always talk to Sammy about this. Like, when I first got into my accident, and I always say, do you think it's better? Do you think I should have died in my accident, basically? Because of all the pain, all the doctor's appointments, all the whatnot and what have you. And I always tell her, yeah, I really wish it would have just killed me. And that probably breaks Sammy's heart by me sharing that with you. But there's a reason why I say that. It's because I'm in so much pain all the time that I feel like it would be easier to die than put up with this. And don't get me wrong, I am very like success driven, and that's probably why I can get up, and no matter if I'm in pain or not, that drive to be successful outweighs the pain.
I would say so.
And that's why I get up, that's why I produce things, that's why I'm doing this, that, and the other, but I'm still in pain.
Yeah.
But that constant hustle to be successful, to have a comfortable life, outweighs, do I want to lay in this bed? And that's why I continue. That's why you continue to see me launch other podcasts. That's why you can see me out at like this convention and that convention. It's because that drive outweighs, do I want to lay in this bed, or do I want to get up off my ass and do something?
And I know, because you always say like you can't, just because they see you out and about, that doesn't mean you're not still struggling with issues. And like, for instance, I was just thinking like if you have to travel, or like when we're going to these conventions, I know one of the things you always talk about ahead of time is like you purposely start taking like airborne and like extra supplements to try and boost your immune system, because you definitely get sick a little bit more easier. Sometimes, or more easily, sometimes when we're out and about. So I know there's like things you do to prepare, and like, I know you'll kind of rest up more the week before you have to go. You'll spend more time trying to sleep. And
So our next appearance as a company, Limitless Broadcasting, is 90s Con. That's September 15th to the 17th. I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to do well for us as a company, more brand awareness. But I'm going to be alone because she has to work.
For the 2 days.
For 2 days.
Yeah.
But being at a booth is hard. And you think it would be all sorts of fun, and don't get me wrong, it is, especially when you go to the horror conventions and you get to see all the cosplayers and you get to see all the panels.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of work. You're literally at that booth, and for like 10 hours.
Yes.
And if
all day.
And if you step away, you don't make money. So you have to be on. And
we don't like to leave each other by ourselves at the booth, because we're like the motivators, you know, company, whatever.
Like, I look at it as I'm driving this train, so I have to be up. And for me to even like function at that level, it takes a lot of preparation on me, because I'm still dealing with chronic pain, and I'm dealing with that, and I'm trying to be up at a level that I can be polite to people, I can sell things, I can push the network, I can do this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, when we go back to the room, all I do is want to chill out. There's all sorts of after parties we could go to, all things we can get invited, but it's super exhausting.
Yeah, you're mostly just like, I'm done with this for the day.
And I see a lot of people that when we're out and about to these conventions that deal with certain things. And I've had people come up to me and say, hey, we really enjoyed your podcast. Because a lot of you guys do listen to this. Because I think we are one of the only podcasts that really have quartered this market about chronic pain that actually realizes.
There's not as many podcasts out there that specifically are tailored to like people and
actually understand it.
Yeah, like, there's like a pharmacy podcast where it's on the Pharmacy Podcast Network. I think it's like Pain Pod.
Okay.
Where there's one pharmacist, and that's kind of his specialty, is dealing with pain. He does a lot of continuing education topics on it. And I tend to, if I see he's doing continuing education, I usually listen to it just because I enjoy listening to him. But he talks about treatments for chronic pain, regulations for chronic pain, all of that. So there's things like that out there too, where you can learn more of the medical side, but it's not for like patients necessarily.
Right. He doesn't like experience it.
No.
Right. What makes our show special, and what other people have told me, is we're experiencing it. We're in the trenches, and chronic pain is not just a me thing. It's a we thing, because you experience it on another side, because I'm experiencing it, and most people forget that you know what I'm feeling rubs off on her. Yeah,
and I do feel like there's sometimes where it's not as much of a balance sometimes with us, you know, because like if you start having a bad time, if we're out doing something, you know, because you're in pain or you're not feeling good, whatever, I sometimes feel like I just have to cater to what you want to do. And I don't mean to say that like,
She absolutely does.
you know
No.
what I mean? Like, not like, you know, like I'm putting you down
Like
or
if I want to go
something.
home and you want to stay out, you
It
tend to be
just,
like,
okay, I guess we're gonna leave. Like, it
even though if
just,
you don't want to, I get
yeah,
you.
it is what it is. I mean, sometimes if I can kind of pinpoint what's going on with you, you know, I can be like, well, why don't we like sit down, like if we're at a theme park or something, you know, like why don't we sit down for a little bit and get a snack or
Do
a
you remember?
drink?
Do you remember when Amanda and Logan
Oh,
were
I
here?
definitely yelled at you that day,
And
though.
we were at Disney World,
I did
and
yell
I
at
was,
you.
but I was like at the one of my heights of chronic pain,
Because,
and
you
I was
didn't,
like,
it was
I want to
partially
go
the way you
home.
came at me, too.
I was pissed. I was
Yes.
like, I want to go home.
It
I
was
was
like a
ready to
child.
go.
Like if you see a child having a tantrum in the park, like that's how I felt in
That
that
was
moment
me.
with you. Was you were
And
having
you
a
guys
tantrum.
you guys were on your way to a ride, and I
Yes.
was like, fuck all this noise. I want
I
to go
wanna
home.
go home.
I want to go home.
It's
And
like, I'm not
Amanda's
going home.
looking at me like she's concerned.
And I
And
probably
Logan
was so terrible.
is looking at me like he's concerned, like,
Mhm.
okay, what do we do now? And you're like, why don't you go sit your ass down and get something to drink?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's exactly what I ended up doing.
Yeah.
I ended up sitting down, waiting for these motherfuckers to get off the ride. But it was cool because I settled down, I got a drink,
Yes.
and then afterwards we did leave.
Mm-hmm.
But she wanted to finish that ride.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I'm talking about in this episode is you get tired of being like, oh, why can't I be at 100% like all these people? Like
I'm sure, yeah.
I'm not that old.
Mm-hmm. I know it's frustrating.
I'm
for
not that
sure.
old to feel like this.
Mhm.
And there's other people out there that feel like the same way is I don't look my age.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm a grandfather or an older man.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't be.
And I get it. And I know that's part of your frustration sometimes, but that's why I try and work with you. Like, okay, well, maybe you don't really want to leave. Maybe we just need to take a break and then see how you're feeling afterwards. Like, I know when we were at Universal, you were just like, I want to go. And at that point, I think when you had started telling me like you wanted to go, I'm like, we're literally in the middle of the park. So you're just going to have to keep walking. Like if you want to leave, we're going to keep going this way because
Right,
there's
you gotta
no other way to
walk
get
to
out of
get
here.
out of here.
Like you can keep complaining that you're hot and everybody's hot and tired, but I can't make it less of a walk. So we're going to keep going. We're going to take some breaks, some pauses, get in the air conditioning for a little bit, but
That's why we're Disney people. Don't get me wrong, I like Universal.
I know where to go. Like the thing is though, because we go to Disney so much, like I could tell you like, okay, you need a break. We'll go over here. And I know it's quiet or it's air
Right.
conditioned or it shouldn't be
Right.
too bad to get like a drink or a snack. But Universal, I was just lost. I'm like, I don't know when the next stopping point is
Right.
or where we're even walking to.
Right.
That was the problem with Universal. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, if we're out and about or even if we're at like Target or something, and I'm just like, sometimes I know if I can get you distracted, you'll be fine for a little bit. You know, like
Mhm.
like if you get distracted with electronics or a toy or something, you know, all of a sudden like you're doing better than you were 2 minutes ago.
Right.
When you
no.
were kind of like, I just want to get out of here and
No,
go
I
do
understand
something
that.
else or lay down. So
But
you
yeah,
know.
I mean, this episode was kind of to give you kind of something to say, this is what I'm struggling with right now. My, kind of my struggles and what's going on in our daily lives. Look behind the curtain, because every time we get on here, we're so structured. I feel like we have this topic, and
That's
this is
true.
and this is more of a episode that says, you know, even though we're structured, this is what's really going on. And with chronic pain, I think about dying more than I probably should, probably because I'm in more pain. And it's not like I'm gonna go out and do something to myself, because that's far from the point. It's just, it comes to a point where you want a stopping point, where you could go see all these doctors and all these physicians and all these specialists, and nobody can say, oh, on this date and at this time, all your pain's gonna stop, and here's why. And I feel like everybody that's actually dealing with chronic pain wants that. They want to know, when can I get back to my life?
Yeah.
And I don't have an answer for you.
No. Nobody does.
And it's one of those things, and that's why a big reason why we wanted to do this podcast is to kind of come together as a community to say, this is what we're experiencing. This is what I'm experiencing at this time. What about you? And that's kind of what this show is about, at least this episode is about struggles and how to get over struggles. And I guess it just, it has to be your mind over matter, your will.
Talking about it or knowing your limits, all of that too. Trying to not push yourself beyond what you're capable of doing.
I think for me, it's my will to succeed. That's why
finding a motivation.
That's why I wanted to quit using opioids. Even though I live in pain more, I'm doing far better than what I was, because when I was on opioids, I was always depressed. I was angry, super angry. I didn't want to be around anybody, and I wasn't actually getting anything done. But now I live with more pain, but I can do more things if that balances out.
Makes sense, yeah.
I still go see Dr. Thomas every week. I'm doing acupuncture. Like I said, we will have him on, the doctor on, to explain acupuncture and why we think it's a valuable treatment against chronic pain. But what do you guys do when you're not motivated? When you are having a bad pain day, what do you do to motivate yourself to say you can't? Do you give yourself 5 minutes? You can't live like this. You can't be like this. How do you get over it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So let us know in the comments. I know this is not going to be one of our longer episodes, but it's more of just like, this is how we're doing today.
Yeah.
And that's why I think this episode is so cool, because I'm actually connecting with you on a personal level, not just a scripted level.
Yeah.
And we'll get back to our regular scripted programs eventually, but this is me just kind of talking to you and letting you know what I'm struggling with.
Yeah, that's true. Because we talk about your struggles, but sometimes we don't just sit and literally talk about how much it just sucks.
And anybody out there that's struggling with chronic pain or chronic illness or disease knows that I wish I could be normal. I want to be like Johnny down the street or Sally down the street. But one thing I've learned, everybody's dealing with something.
That's true.
They just kind of can hide it better than others. And that's where we're at.
Yeah.
And for those of you guys that are going to listen to this podcast and this episode, don't think you're going to wake up one day and be like, Robert from the Chronic Pain Podcast killed himself, because that's not where I'm going with this. I'm sure if you're experiencing something or dealing with an illness or chronic illness, you think about it. You probably think about it a lot more than most. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to know your limitations.
Yeah.
So, but let us know in the comments, how do you motivate yourself to feel better?
Yeah.
Thank you I know this is a shorter episode, but thank you for checking it out. This will be out soon. Again, like, subscribe, comment, really helps us out. Another thing, the new Pixie Dust Twins website will be out September 15th, and the new Limitless Broadcasting site will be out September 15th as well.
Just in time for 90s comment.
Just in time. So very excited about those two things. Definitely like, subscribe, and thank you for checking us out.
Yeah. So we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Painful Truth of Living with Chronic Pain with Robby and Sammy. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to the Limitless Podcast Network's own channel, Instagram, and all things social media. And we'll see you all real soon.